You mean Unser and Wendy?
Yes.
In that story?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of the things you have to buy in the show, that we can kill 12 Chinese people in a warehouse and no police officer comes and asks us any questions. I mean, we do a lot of murder that I think would probably be in the papers. I think by this point now, Charming would be like the murder capital of California.
Recently we had Clay, and then we had Tara, and then we had the sheriff, and this was all in Jax's house just
I know, in his actual house, you would think there'd be some issues. I think we have to kind of accept in this pulpy world of Sons of Anarchy that there's only so many stories we can follow, and somewhere when you're not watching TV, a police officer or some FBI agent is going around asking some questions. And somewhere when you're not watching Sons of Anarchy, there's a newspaper.
I'm so oblivious.
I know, it's a little strange, but I think we have to buy it so we can focus on the stories that Kurt wants to tell. I thought you were talking about the actors being in the dark about what's happening to their characters.
Oh no, we didn't ask about that.
We do that very deliberately. And that's something, they're almost completely in the dark. And the reason why they're almost completely in the dark is it's been my experience, and I've learned this from NYPD Blue Days, that the less actors know about the future of their character, the more they play it in the moment. And the more they react to situations as they were. If you knew what was going to happen in your future, you would do things differently. And it's very difficult for most actors to divorce from the knowledge of, oh shit, I'm going to die in 2 episodes, or I have to kill so-and-so later on. Then the things they're doing now start to influence to that outcome, which we don't want. So we know, to some extent, what's going to happen. I mean, Kurt and I know. So we kind of lead people through and make sure that what they're doing is not inconsistent with what's going to happen later. But I think in most cases, if they know, it's going to pollute the way they perform today. So it's not that actors, can't control, but it's just really hard when you're an actor. You're super sensitive. If you have the information about what's going to happen in the future, you can't forget it. It's very difficult.
Is there a dead actor right in this room that has no idea right now?
Yes. There are 2.
Wow.
So when Gemma killed Tara, it was in the moment. There was no premeditation. It just kind of happened. But what she does kind of next is very premeditated. She has a plan to kind of cover her tracks. Can you talk about the decision to go into that story writing and how it makes her almost more irredeemable than, which I would have thought was impossible.
I think it's impossible for Gemma, frankly, now. I don't think there's any coming back from the court. Even if she did it with the best of intentions, it's beyond the pale. When Jax finds this out, it's not going to be pretty. After all, she could cover her tracks as long as she wants, but sooner or later the chickens are going to come home to roost, and she's going to really have no place to go. So I think she has to do what Gemma does, which is scramble and hope that it works out. And eventually I'm sure she has a plan to beg for forgiveness, but it may or may not work. May or may not work.
You always great about giving the fans a heads up on episodes to watch. So what would you tell to the fans are the key episodes to kind of keep an eye on?
Oh, jeez. I'm going to do this very carefully. Definitely, obviously you got to see the season premiere. There's a lot of hints in the premiere, and some of them are very early in the premiere of what's going to happen later on. Scenes that seem to be just informational about people, I'm going to try not to tease too much. Actually, you'll find by the middle of the season ended up being much more important than you thought it would. I would say probably we've only got shot through episode 7 now. And I would say the so far episode that you don't want to miss is, let's see. I don't know if I want to say that. Should I say it? I just say it?
Yeah.
It's 4.
What's the name of that episode?
I can't remember the names because they're so weird.
Do you participate in the naming, or is it just...
No, the name just shows up on a script, and usually it's in some strange foreign language, and I have to go on Wikipedia to find out what the name of the episode means. I mean, basically that's it. And usually the episode's not named until Kurt does his final pass. He has a group of writers. We have about 7 writers who write the episodes first. After they've all broken the story, then Kurt does the final pass in the episode, and in that process he names the episode.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the creative challenges in a final season and trying to come to a satisfactory conclusion for the creative team, for the actors, while still keeping in mind what the viewers may want?
That's a very good question. Well, there's a good tension, and I'll try to say this nicely, because I think I'm probably a little bit more oriented towards the fans, because I consider myself the first fan, and I think Kurt is more he's internally oriented. He has a story that he wants to tell, and he's always wanted to tell. He's been telling for years that he knows how it concludes, and so I think there's a healthy sort of back and forth with how things are presented. Kurt always wins. But I have some slight influence because I direct a lot of the episodes. I'll direct 4 of the 13 episodes this season. I'll do 1, 7, 10, and 12 of the episodes. So I have some being on the floor and actually going through every scene, and then I supervise all the other directors. So I think we're sort of trying to please both people at the same time. I think in the end, we'll probably please 75% of those people successfully. 25% will be very, very unhappy.
Did you direct Marilyn on Courtney Love? I'm very excited.
I did. I directed Marilyn Manson, who we call Manson, and he was fantastic. I was really impressed with him. I don't have any Manson records, so I'm not really familiar with his oeuvre prior to coming to Sons. So I knew I had a preconception of what he looked like. When he arrived on the set, as you've seen from that picture, he didn't look like anything like that at all. The makeup was gone, the lipstick was gone, and he performed in such a simple, compelling, frightening way that we're using him again and again. He's recurred, several times in the first 7 episodes as the character of Tully, the head of the Aryan Brotherhood, and a key contact for Jax in terms of getting done what he has to do in prison. Because some of this story, as you might gather, is going to have to take place in prison because sooner or later somebody's going to have to get arrested. Yes, and you'll have to figure out who. Courtney, I haven't directed. She just did her first scene. She plays a school teacher.
So great.
And she's completely convincing. And she's one of Abel's teachers, and she's actually kind of fantastic.
Another minute.
Yeah, she's nothing like anything I am familiar with Courtney Love. And when I saw her in her little dress, her little A-line dress, and the line in the school picking up Abel and talking to Gemma, I said, wow. If I didn't know it was Courtney Love, I would just think we have a really good actress playing this part that's not quite what it seems to be and ends up being very important to our plot later on.
Are you directing the finale?
No, Kurt Sutter will direct the finale, as he's done, I think, every season of Sons of Anarchy. And thank God for that, because I don't want to be there when all the crying and the hewing and the hawing ensues. And there's going to be a lot.
Has there already been a little bit of that?
There's been a little bit of it, yes. We've had a couple of sad days already on the Sons, but that's why people will tune in to see which days are sad and which days are happy. There are more sad days than happy days. So don't be expecting that you're going to get a lot of chuckles.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.